Once again, thank you so much for this opportunity. And as Steve mentioned, the whole concept of actually automation isn't anything new for all of us. And then the reason I say all of us is because I actually used to be in your shoes just until a few years back. My name's Ajay Kamble. I spent most of my career actually as a CIO and a CDO in manufacturing and distribution. And for about 8 years before I started Revalgo, I used to be the CIO at Total and Hughes, a fairly large electrical industrial distribution company. I think it's still the second largest, I would say, family-owned, woman-owned, and woman-run business in the country so far. But the reason I actually, bring that out is, just like you're trying to automate your businesses, just like you're trying to make your business efficient, I actually try to do that with the tools that we thought were the most optimal at that time, especially e-commerce. And let me, start sharing my screen here. Give me 1 second. I think I have to share my screen. And there we go. So, one of the things that we actually did, and I think, here we go. There we go. Um, so one of the things that we did, and I'm sure you actually have been attempting as well, is to use the whole concept of e-commerce. And after spending millions of dollars and hundreds of hours trying to build the most, I would say, modern and efficient e-commerce platforms, we could not get more than 2% of our sales to be transacted online. Now, your stories might be a little bit different, but when I started to question whether we actually were an anomaly and started speaking with other business leaders and other technology leaders, realized that in our business, it doesn't matter what the vertical is, electrical, industrial, plumbing, it didn't matter what the vertical was. The adoption of e-commerce was less than 5% across the board. And when I started to dig deeper on why is it that in the day-to-day lives, our customers probably use e-commerce, but when it comes to doing business with us, they traditionally use these methods. What I realized was about 60 to 70% of the business that we were getting, used to come in via emails and emails that look like what you see on the screen, mostly plain English, no part numbers, mostly industry jargon, or variations of such, handwritten documents, and a combination of those. Then we also had another set of customers who, of course, had ERP systems on their end, and they would send us the purchase orders in a PDF, and they would actually question us on why would they want to go use an online tool if they were sending us a purchase order. So it's a lot more easier for them to actually send these kind of emails. And the expectation was that the salesperson would actually go and understand exactly what they were looking for, the brand they were looking for, and then fulfill the order. The second reason why e-commerce never picked up is because we as distributors actually have a large portfolio of products. We may have 100,000 SKUs in our portfolio, 200,000, sometimes even millions of SKUs in our portfolio, but we only stock a small portion of that, and that's how the businesses are run. Now imagine our customers when they go online and if they have to build a market basket, and a market basket typically is a combination of what we stock and what we don't stock. It becomes extremely difficult for them to actually do a portion of their business online because we can show them the price and availability, but for the ones that we don't stock, it typically says call for price or call for availability. And for them, it basically is now actually having to do multiple things. And that is one of the big reasons why they said, okay, you know what, it's a lot more easier for us to send the demand this way and then have the sales team figure out what they want to do. And what ends up happening is that, whether we call them CSRs on our side or inside salespeople, 100% of the time is spent in doing two activities: converting the demand that is coming in, but more importantly, also sourcing that particular demand, not just from our suppliers for non-stocks, but also from multiple warehouses. And this is where I think we diminish the idea of an inside salesperson. We basically say, listen, they're just converting. To Steve's point, they're not just converting an incoming document or an incoming demand that's coming in. Their job and their value is in making sure that these demands get fulfilled either from any one of their warehouses or from a supplies warehouse as well. And this whole complex process is basically what consumes most of the time. And our goal was, if we were to actually create a digital twin of your physical sales force, then the digital twin can actually take care of all this very complex process of finding the right inventory, finding multiple warehouses, going actually into your supplies warehouses and fulfilling the order so that physical salesforce can focus on what they should be doing, which is upselling, cross-selling, and acquiring new customers as well. And then our idea here basically was to actually make it completely agnostic to the channel through which what you call the demand comes in. The demand can come in through emails, it could actually come in through voice calls, or even actually through conversations. The goal here basically was to be completely agnostic. I actually have another slide here. And this is a pretty, I would say, antiquated slide. If you actually look at the definitions that I've used here, this slide actually has been unchanged since the day we started about 3.5 years back. The technologies have changed, but our concept and philosophy has not changed at all. And the goal here basically was to convert any demand that comes in from the systems of interaction. We call them systems of interaction. They could actually be a chatbot on your e-com platform, emails, voice calls, messaging apps, but the idea was to convert all that demand into your ERP. And then we actually had set some benchmarks that we wanted to achieve these benchmarks. Only then have we actually achieved the true meaning of conversational commerce. We wanted to make the sales team at least 60 to 80% more efficient, actually make them order managers, not order takers. We also wanted to make sure that the RFQs get responded back in a timely fashion. True story, some of our customers actually are seeing a conversion from RFQ to a firm order, an increase of at least about 35%. And that increase of 35% is because now they're responding back to these RFQs in a timely fashion. Some of our customers actually get 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 line item orders, which used to take them about 2 to 3 weeks to respond back to. Now they can respond back to those RFQs in a couple hours time. And we know as human beings, the faster you respond, the more the I would say opportunity for our customers to confirm that order as well. Another side effect that we saw was because we actually are centralizing, and you'll see this in the product demo, because we're centralizing the entire knowledge across all the salespeople or CSRs in one place, it actually has alleviated one of the big risks that most businesses have. And the big risk is that a lot of our sales force is getting towards retirement, and the fear was that the knowledge is going to walk out once they walk out as well. And because we are centralizing most of the knowledge, the chances of retaining at least 50 to 80% of the knowledge has gone up. So much so that some of our customers actually have been able to train new salespeople in less than 2 months. One of our customers actually came back to us and said that never ever happened in the history of their business that they were able to train a salesperson in less than 2 months. And that's because we actually were able to present the entire organization's knowledge in front of this new talent that walked in as well. And then if you actually have plans, I'm sure most of you basically have plans on digital transformation, or at least having that digital journey. So these tools actually accelerate, and I'll show you a roadmap of a platform. The idea behind this basically is to accelerate your digital transformation journey as well, not just from a sales management perspective, but actually having the knowledge gained from the sales management into other areas as well. So with that said, what I'll do is I'll jump right into the product demo that will give you a flavor of one of the products, and then we'll touch base very quickly on the three other products that actually help us in this whole transformation journey. So with that said, let me just go ahead, and I may switch from a couple of domains that we have, a couple of, I would say, a couple of demos that we actually have, so that you have a good flavor as well. So the way this platform works is pretty straightforward. Our platform is listening to your salesperson's mailbox 24/7, 365. And what I mean by that is we are the only platform that actually doesn't require a salesperson to forward an email into a platform. You can choose to do that, and some of our customers do that, but we also have the ability to read a mailbox and then pick only the emails that are pertinent to this what you call order management, which means if a customer is placing an order, requesting a quote, or changing an order, only those orders can be brought into the platform. And when those emails are brought into the platform, our platform is reading those emails, PDFs, or content with the same intent that a salesperson would read. And that intent is more important than just the content. As Steve mentioned, our goal is not just to convert the content that's coming in, but read it with the same intent And we actually use 5 different data points to start building the order in our platform. First one is what's the customer's preference on a particular brand or a particular product line, even if they haven't mentioned that. Second one is what's the salesperson's intent on pushing a particular brand or a product line, because it may actually have rebates, it may have discounts, or any one of those, or obsolescence could be one of those things as well. The third one is what are your business rules in satisfying that customer's need? It could be that this customer buys or purchases products that are only made in the U.S. Or whatever the geographic constraints might be there. Some of the electrical distributors are, let's say, ABB distributors or Rockwell distributors, and they have those geographic constraints. The platform looks at that as well. But the most important thing the platform looks when it starts to build the order is the availability of the product in the warehouses that the customer is associated with, and of course the price that the customer is willing to pay as well. That association of warehouses is extremely important because most of our customers actually have multiple brands actually in these warehouses. So to pick the right brand from the right warehouse requires that inherent knowledge that we learn from your history as well. And once we actually start, and once we process that entire intent into those 5 algorithms, we actually come up with a recommendation and we give it a confidence score that we're 90% confident or 100% confident. That's exactly what the salesperson would have done if this was done manually. We also look into the product content actually as one of our what you call data points, but we don't rely on the product content. Reason is because product content in our industry is all over the place, but we actually do use that as one of the data points as well. Unlike almost all of our competitors who actually are trying to do this, their philosophy is to train an AI model on a vast set of product content, and then bring that to you. We actually rely on product content only to a certain fraction, and that too, we actually train a model on your product content, because your product content could be different than somebody else's product content, even if it actually means the exact same product. So we train our models on your product content, your history, and your data itself. Once we do that, the goal here is to actually build the order. And the idea behind this is to actually have the salesperson come in, eyeball this, and if everything looks good, click on approve quote or approve an order, and off it goes into the ERP. As much time and effort we actually put in making sure that the line items are right, we put in equal, if not more, effort in making sure that the header also is right. In the sense, we're trying to pick the right bill to information. We know that in our business, ship tos are notorious, so we try to triangulate information based on whatever documents we've gotten or whatever information we've gotten on the right ship to as well. We also allow in the latest versions that we just rolled out a couple of weeks back for direct orders. So if in case this actually is a direct order, you can actually pick up the vendor that you actually want to assign this particular order to, and off it goes into your ERP, that's Eclipse or CSD, whatever it is. And then it can actually be converted into a direct order as well. But as I mentioned, it's not just where the product is getting shipped to, but where the product is getting shipped from as well. And we actually handle some of the most complex ship from algorithms, which means we can actually look at a primary warehouse, we can look at a secondary warehouse, and a tertiary warehouse as well. For one of the customers, we actually also do something called geofencing. So that based on the ship to address, we can look at 200-mile radius, at least for that particular customer, a 200-mile radius, and find the closest warehouse that actually can fulfill that particular demand as well. In the next version that we're rolling out in the next couple of weeks' time, you can also actually pick and choose at a line item level on which warehouse can fulfill, so that you can break this particular order into multiple sub orders, provided you actually have that facility in the ERP as well. So multiple ways to actually make sure that this particular order gets fulfilled, either from multiple of your warehouses. And I'll show you an example about non-stocks as well. And this S here denotes the stock product. You can actually have logic for out of stock product, and of course for non-stock products as well. And we also can actually bring in multiple different prices. We of course bring in the ERP price that the customer is associated with. We also show multiple LPP, means last purchase price. So at least you have a visual on what did the customer pay over the last 5 times the customers purchased this. And if there is a special price agreement, we can bring in that as well. But one of our customers, since most of the products are sold on Amazon, we actually bring in an Amazon price for them so that they have a visual on if there is an opportunity to upsell or increase the margins as well. So this is just an example actually of how we can do things. Other bells and whistles are pretty straightforward. You got a quick order pad, you can keep on adding and more line item to this particular order, or if the customer sent you a PDF or an Excel file that you want to add to this order, that can be done here as well. We are in the process of launching a fourth option here called speech. And the idea behind that is twofold. One is that we can stream an incoming audio or phone call from your customers directly into the platform so that when the salesperson is speaking with the customer, the order can be built behind the scenes. And the second one is if you have a counter, the goal is for the counter person to click on the speech button and it can listen to the conversation and start building the order so that by the time the conversation is finished, the order is also built to its satisfaction. So that feature is coming in the next 2 to 3 weeks. But as I said, the idea here is to actually, not only convert the order, but also make sure that it is fulfilled in its entirety, just like a salesperson would do. So what I'll do is I'll maybe show you a couple more examples. By the way, we also do what we call units of measure conversion automatically, and especially in electrical industry, in the electrical field, you have wire that basically can come in. Customers may actually require it in reels. We may stock that in feet. For electrical customers, we also do wire cut. So if the customer specified wire cut, we actually bring in the right roll that can be cut, and the cut lengths can actually be put into the system automatically. So the system learns most of it. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention one thing. The most important thing about machine learning, I don't know how I've been short over that. But as I said, once we go through all those algorithms and make a recommendation that this is the product that the salesperson would have chosen, now, in case we make a mistake, we actually do provide alternate products that the salesperson can choose from. And we've learned these alternate products from the history, not just between this salesperson and the customer, but across all the other salespeople in the organization and their customers. Some of our customer salespeople love this because they say they would have never known that this could actually have been an alternate product, but because somebody else in the organization has used that as an alternate product, they're able to choose that. And the idea behind this is that if in case the system makes a mistake, you can choose an alternate product. So the next time the system's not going to make that mistake, or you can search in our system or your ERP in real time so that the order can be fixed. And of course, it goes into machine learning. So most anything that you change in this UI basically goes into machine learning, including warehouses and some of the other features as well. So I'm going to show a couple more examples. I hope that we actually are doing good on time. So Steve, please keep me in check here. The other thing we also do basically is not just read the first incoming email, but the conversation behind that email as well. So for example, if the customer is looking for these products, we can actually build the order. And pretty soon we're actually launching to send quotes right from our platform as well in the next, I think the next release that will go out. So you can actually use this as a quoting platform. And then the quoting platform will send periodic reminders to your customers. And when the customer confirms, you can then push this into the ERP as well. But in this particular case, the customer is looking for these particular products. They can build the order, send the confirmation to the customer. And if the customer confirms that with the purchase order, we can read this conversation and then bring it in and then firm up the order as well. I think I gave you some examples on handwritten documents. This is a PDF. It's a very simple, I would say, PDF. We've seen some of the most complex PDFs that come in. There are, I would say, 10 pages, but there's only one line item. So the system actually handles almost all complexities. There are still some that the system's learning as we go by, but for the most part, PDFs are pretty straightforward for us. We also do machine, what you call handwritten documents. I'm going to show you another example here. This is a classic example, and this actually happens, more often than we actually would expect. But handwritten documents are very common. In this case, the complexity, I don't know if you can see this, but I can expand that a little bit. The complexity is that the customer is actually looking for 4 different sizes, and we can actually read this and bring them in as well. I can show one more example here, then I switch to questions. Let me just go in here. Uh, I said about non-stocks, right? Oh, by the way, spreadsheets, again, as I said, we actually can handle spreadsheets that are 200, 300 line items as a quote, but otherwise some of our customers send us quotes that are at least 1,000, 2,000. One of them actually sends us 3,000 to 4,000 line item quotes that get sent back to the customer in less than a couple hours time. Here's a classic example actually of a non-stock product. If we know that the top two are non-stocks, it's denoted by non-stocks. And if the customer is looking for a specific brand, we can actually do one of 3 things. If the supplier actually has an API, they can use that, but not many actually have APIs. Most of them actually have these portals that our salespeople log into. So we can actually log into those portals on your behalf and then find the real-time price and availability. And the third one, of course, is if your suppliers share price and availability on a periodic basis, we can ingest that and we can bring that up and build the order as well. So in this case, let's say, for example, this actually is an Eaton product. We actually log into Eaton's portals on your behalf. We can actually find the product, price, and availability. And if this product is not in your catalog, we can actually bring back the entire product content. So if you want to add this into your catalog, you can actually add a very clean product into your catalog as well. So it actually helps you start making your product content process a lot more cleaner and more attributable as well. And then one last example I want to show you is something called price shopping, which is if you actually have multiple suppliers that you can actually get the same product from and your customers don't care what brand it is. We do something called price shopping. We can actually go to multiple of your suppliers and then find the right supplier to satisfy this customer's needs. And this, of course, helps you in optimizing your order as well. So with that
Ajay,
said,
thank you very much. There are
absolutely,
several
absolutely.
questions with the few minutes we have left remaining, so
Sure.
let me see if I can take a few of them here. The
Sure.
first one is you mentioned about training on the customer's data.
Yeah.
We have concerns about security. Can you talk about security?
Absolutely, yes. And as I said, being in the other role, which is trying to make sure that our systems are secure as a business, as a distributor, we actually build the product from the ground up, making sure that your security is always on the forefront. And what we mean by that is it would have been a lot cheaper for us to actually bring in a pre-trained model and then actually have you use that. But instead, we actually request your 12 months of historical data, which is the sales orders and also the incoming emails and your product content. And we create a instance of your business in our multi-tenant cloud. And then we train our AI models on your content so that the training that we actually provide to our models is based on your business. And then any training that you provide in your instance basically is not spread to your competitors or anybody else out there. Unlike our competitors, where they actually bring in a pre-trained model, and then any training that you do actually now basically gets spread to your competitors, potential competitors, and also other people as well. So security is absolutely prime and center in our process. Although it's expensive and more labor intensive, we prefer to do that.
Next question is, from the time you get started, how long does it take for the AI to be working in our business?
Perfect. So what we do is once we sign off, we request, as I said, the 3 sets of data, your what you call sales history for the last 12 months, emails for the last 12 months, and of course your product content. Once we get that, it takes about 2 weeks for us to train the model. We don't train the model to 100% because we don't want to train the models on any anomalies from the history. So we actually train the models to about 60, 70%, which takes us about 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, we bring in the first set of maybe called pilot salespeople to come and start at least testing if the models are in the right direction. And in the next 2 weeks, we have to do the integration into CSD, which means within 4 to 5 weeks, we'll actually have the first group of salespeople come in and then start using the platform. The first 2 or 3 salespeople who are validating, they can keep on fine-tuning the model until the first group comes in. So in about 2 to 2.5 weeks time, you probably can get up to about 60 to 70% or 70 to 80% in a very short span of time. And then of course it takes on fine-tuning. Some of our customers basically are at about 80, 85%. So we actually, again, keep on measuring. I can share some of those statistics with you as well, but roughly about 80, 85% accuracy is what we predict. Again, these are with non-part numbers, by the way. With part numbers, of course, the accuracy goes up to almost 95% and above. But for non-part numbers, about 80, 85% is what you can achieve in about 5 to 6 weeks.
Okay, I think we have time maybe just for 2 more questions. Let me pick one here. What is required of the IT department?
This is what, again, we actually have made a very conscious effort to not tax the IT departments. Being one of those people who actually got dumped with a lot of these IT projects, we wanted to make sure that the engagement of the IT department is to give us access to the backend systems and provide us with the data. But for the most part, the engagement is with the business users, mostly the sales team members who actually are engaged with our team. We actually have weekly calls, even with customers who've been with us for a year and a half. We actually meet with the sales team every week because for us, getting that feedback is extremely important. The most engagement actually is with the sales team or the business teams, with the IT department kind of providing that back end support when it's required. So very minimal actually in terms of the heavy lifting is done by us. We do the training as well for any new salespeople that come in. We handhold them and we make sure that that the adoption actually is in the right direction.
Okay, I think we've got time just for one more. Let's see, let's go with this one. You said something about listening for intent. Can you explain that?
Yeah, and that the listening for intent is extremely important because again, content conversion, as Steve, you mentioned earlier on, that's a commodity. Converting content is exactly what most platforms have been doing. The connections of the world, all they're looking for is how can we convert this content. The problem with converting content is it's just basically a small portion of the entire process. Because our goal is not just to convert the content and then let the salesperson figure out how am I going to fulfill that. Our goal here basically is to make sure that we are looking for the customer's intent, and if the intent basically says I'm looking for a particular product in a certain amount of time, how do we actually fulfill that particular order, either from the warehouses that they are associated with or from non-stocks as well. And that's the reason why, including brand that they actually prefer, and any of the nuances that may actually have in that particular order. That's why the intent is extremely important. Because that's what human beings do. Human beings, they don't just convert the content. They're looking for this customer's intent as well.
That's great.
Shane, I think that's about all that we have time for today. But before Revalgo wraps up, I do want to thank you for hosting us today. And we're very much looking forward to growing the partnership that we've initiated and appreciate the opportunity to speak with your clients today. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. Actually,
Thanks.
we do have one more question that came
Sure,
in.
sure.
Ajay, if you can handle it, okay.
Of course, yes, please.
It's from Tony. Tony says, how many different data points can the tool search to guarantee success? For example, if the information coming in has a vendor part number and description, what is the order in which it searches the ERP system?
It actually can handle any one of those. So we actually have customer part numbers. We can have manufacturer part numbers. We actually get, I would say, requests, with Granger part number, which is basically not the distributor's part number, nor the customer's part number as well. So the system can actually look at a part number and try to figure out, as long as it's there in the catalog, and use that actually as a reference point. And we just don't use the part number as the only one to determine what should be the product, what should be the recommendation. We actually use that in context with the description or any other information that the customer sent, and that's the reason why the intent is extremely important. So yes, if there is a part number, we use that, but then we also use the description or any of the information to then basically figure out, oh no, this actually is not a manufacturer's part number, this could be a customer reference part number, and so on and so forth.
That's great. So the question I think, Ajay, was what is the order that it actually
Oh, what is the
searches?
order? Oh yeah, so the order, of course, is we look at the what do you call the distributor's part number. Actually, if that's the one, then we look at the manufacturer's part number, and then of course the customer part number as well. And if there's no customer part number, then we look at something called a catalog part number. As I mentioned, it could be a Granger part number, it could be third-party part number. So we can look at that as well. But that's the hierarchy we look at. Your part number first, manufacturer part number, and then the customer part number.
That's great. So Tony, if there's any follow-up to that and you'd like to communicate directly, let's go ahead and coordinate that. But thank you guys. This was a really informative session. I know I learned a ton today. And if there's anyone else on your team that was not able to join, just know that this will be posted shortly out to Central Data TV. So thank you again, Steve. Thank you, Ajay. Always great to see you guys, and thank you for the valuable content.
Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate the time.
Take care. Have a great day.